welcome back to another career tiny home in The Sims 4. If this is your first time catching it, I've had a series for quite some time now where I have been creating tiny homes for every career. Tiny homes are really amazing. Also, Peek the Heart build wasn't really a heart. You'll see what it's going to be if you haven't already figured it out. What was I saying? I have been creating tiny homes for every career. Tiny homes are elite, right? If you've ever built with tiny living, you'll know that each tier has different perks for your sim where they can thrive. In a small home, which is 65 tiles to 100 tiles, you can have things like lowered bills, they're happy, inspired, and focused buffs last twice as long. In a tiny home, which is what this is, it is 33 to 64 tiles. You will get those aforementioned perks, as well as twice as much comfort in your home, and your skills increase twice as fast, which is why we do this. I will say in a micro home, which is 4 to 32 tiles, because you can't have less than 4 tiles, you get all of the previously mentioned perks, as well as your plants will grow twice as fast and your relationships improve twice as fast. So really great thing to have these tiny homes. While this could have been a micro home and I could have made it work, I guess I didn't think about making it work because I really wanted to create a mushroom and I wanted it to be like a double mushroom, kind of like you see what's happening right here. It's a mushroom. If you haven't figured that out, it's a mushroom. Micro home would probably be excellent for plant growing. However, I wanted to build a mushroom and it's round walls, and round walls are weird in general. So I didn't feel like I could create what I wanted to and make it a micro home. Maybe one day I will recreate this as a micro home. It just probably wouldn't be a mushroom because round walls, weird. You can't place all the things you want to place on them. The big windows look weird. You can kind of see the clipping in the sides of those, so I didn't keep it. The doors are weird. Roofs can be weird. Wall painting is weird. The wallpapers don't match up the way they're supposed to, which you'll see. We bypassed that though because it's a mushroom and I really wanted to build a mushroom. Anyways, all that to say, you can kind of see the wallpaper thing right there happening by the door. It's a little off. It's fine. You're going to ignore that. But all that to say that we're doing these career tiny homes so that you can advance your skill for each career and advance in the career itself, which I think is pretty cool and it's fun. And even if you never use this for its intended purpose, it's still so much fun to create these houses with that thought in mind of who this sim is, what they're doing with their life, and so on and so forth. So we are in Cranamore Residential, which if you haven't seen, don't know, it is a giant tree that has a lot at the top of it. This is so amazing. I love it. And I think that across the board, simmers are probably really happy with this one. How fun is that? A lot at the top of the tree. At the top of a tree. I am in awe of the thought process here because I wouldn't have thought of that. How many times have you maybe built a tree house, like a custom tree house? I'm not talking about the one that came with growing together, but how often have you built a tree house or built some weird I don't know, but this was iconic of them to think of, and I'm very happy that we're up in a tree. My goal with this mushroom house was to use as much as I could of the new expansion pack, which is, as you know, The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature. I just wanted to use as much as possible. This is for the Apothecary career. Have we mentioned that? Have I mentioned that at this point? If you don't know, this mushroom house is being built as a career home for the Apothecary career. So fun. And all kind of ties in together, right? I wanted to create this house for a sim who really just lives off of the beaten path. They are an apothecary sim. They love nature, this seclusion that being up in a tree brings them. They can grow plants and just really enjoy life. Also, I thought this was so fun. This pack comes with these shelves that look like really natural wood, and I took them and alt placed them on the outside of my mushroom to kind of create these scales on the mushroom. It was so fun to do. And I think that you could use this for even like a tree. You know what I mean? Like if you're creating a tree as a house, these shelves look like amazing little scales for a tree. Just a fun little detail of something that you may not think of or may not try, but really cool. And I had so much fun with that. I wanted this to be so nature filled and really feel like you are a fairy living in this mushroom, except for, you're giant because you're not a fairy. You don't have to be a fairy to do the apothecary career. However, when in Rome, you know what I mean? Like, might as well be a fairy, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be. So it's up to you. I wanted your bedroom to feel like an escape. I wanted you to have lots of greenery everywhere. It feels really natural, almost like you're sleeping outside, but you're not. You are in the comfort of your mushroom. I even gave you a little chair upstairs in your bedroom for whatever reason, if you want to sit down with a book and relax. I did put 2 mirrors on either side of the bed. That way your sim can go up to them, practice their charisma, change their outfits. Because as you'll see later down the road, the bathroom is not a conventional one. And you'll see. It'll come together. It's worth noting that I know that little archway right there of wisteria or whatever it is. I didn't look at the name. I just went for it. If you understand, I just did the thing. So whatever that little archway, it's like off the wall. But I think it's fine. It doesn't need to like necessarily be on the wall. It creates this almost like 3D moment, obviously. And I like it. And if you don't like it, delete it. But I like it. Then we get to use the really fun wallpaper that looks like outside. Once again, talking about how I wanted to create this atmosphere in your bedroom where you're outside, but you're not outside, you're inside. I wanted everything to feel very natural. And I thought that this was a good moment to use these little leaf rugs. There are 5 different variations of the leaf, and then they come in a ton of different colors. So that was a fun moment. We're downstairs, and I told you that this was going to be a little bit of a weird one, right? You're either going to love this build or you're going to hate it, and that's okay. I have come to terms with this because I really got weird with this one. Let's talk about that you need to use the apothecary table for the apothecary career to create your potions and all that good stuff. So I definitely wanted that to be in the build because that's the point, right? There are other ways to gain apothecary skill. There are books you can use. I believe there's like 3 of them. You'll be able to forage for different items that you'll need. The more you forage, the more your skill goes up, the more you'll be able to forage. Like you'll be able to find more things that you need. But with that said, I really wanted to make sure that your apothecary table was kind of front and center. I love those little bookshelves. I'm kind of playing around with them and I end up all placing them. So when you go inside, they're kind of almost like an archway, but not. They are just surrounding the front door. I thought that was a fun little thing to do. I did shrink them down once. They still work perfectly fine, but now they fit in the build better. I love that fireplace. I think it is the bee's knees. It's so pretty. You know what I didn't do? Because this build I was very pack friendly with, but this build, I wonder how good the castle kit would go with this build. Because the castle kit has these really pretty bricks that have moss and greenery kind of coming through the cracks. I wonder how that would look. But anyways, train of thought has left the building. Oh, I was going to tell you that this is pack friendly. So while I'm obviously using Enchanted by Nature, we're going to be using base game, obviously using base game, as well as high school years because I needed the ladder trellis. While of course we have a ladder in base game, it doesn't have greenery growing on it. And I needed it to have greenery growing on it. And high school years is great. It has some really fun items. So it was nice to add a little something extra. I also use cottage living because what an easy add-in. So hopefully you have those things. Enchanted by Nature, which again is new. So if you don't have it, I understand all of this is moot then because you don't need the Apothecary skill. Base game you obviously have if you have The Sims. High School Years is a fun one, and Cottage Living is a fun one as well. So it all just made sense. Plus, I got to use the typewriter computer. Iconic. I'm fairly sure you need the computer. You have to like research some stuff. I haven't played through this career myself. I don't always gameplay. I did do the event. Did you do the nature event? I did the nature event to get all the like freebies. So I played for that, but I don't always take time for gameplay. My time can be very not my own. I have a lot to do in a day. I take care of my elderly parents, as well as I have 2 young kids of my own. I work. So this is something fun that I get to do, a creative outlet. Because of that, I don't always take time to actually play. Instead, I build. This is where I'm kind of refining the color points in here, and I really like darkening the wood of everything. It feels more natural. I don't know how that works, but it does to me. I'm just taking a little bit of time right now and adding random plants throughout this living area, this work/living area. Obviously, we're going to use lots of plants, which is like my dream come true. Okay. I love plants. My only regrets are that I'm doing this pack limited and therefore not getting to use all of the plants that I really in my heart want to use, but it's okay. Also, if you've noticed at all, I love to see pieces I want to use that I know I want to use and put them outside. So if you see on the outside of my build random things sitting around, just know that I plan to use them and I just set them out so that way I can come back to them later. I kind of put little stacks of books here and there to look like your sim is sitting and reading. We use the little wooden dragon sculpture. He is so cute. I love him. Also, we went to see How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version, in the theater. It's so cute, y'all. I love that movie. My sister is a huge fan of How to Train Your Dragon. She loves Toothless. She loves dragons in general. She has this cute little baby dragon on an open book tattoo on her arm, and it's literally the cutest thing. So we are dragon people in this house, and we really enjoyed the movie. I don't know how you feel about going to the movies. I'm not a huge fan, but my kids are a little older now and can handle movies. We saw the Minecraft movie in theaters, as well as King of Kings, and now How to Train Your Dragon. We are contemplating taking them to see Jurassic World and just taking their noise canceling headphones because they love the Jurassic movies. I own all 6 of the Jurassic movies and I'm obsessed with them. I love them. I have Jurassic World and Jurassic Park Funko Pops and Legos, and we are just huge fans over here. My 4-year-old used to ask me about the dinosaurs and their hugging. He's like, does he just love humans so much he gives them hugs and kisses? Well, not exactly. But now that he's older, he's still fine. And I might not take, I gotta like IMBD the movie, okay? And try not to give myself any spoilers, but contemplating if I want to take them to that. So I'll have to look and see if I feel like it's appropriate for children. But I really want to see it myself. So we'll see about that. All right, look here. Have you noticed that there is no bathroom or kitchen in my build? It's not an afterthought. I fully decided that they would have an outdoor kitchen and an outdoor bathroom. I just thought it would be so fun. They are one with nature. They are apothecary people, okay? You may think it's so weird, and I don't judge you for that. It's a weird one. That's why I said you might not like this build, but you might like it. And if you do, let me know. Let me know. What I'm doing here is creating my own pergola. I called it lattice work at one point, but it's technically a pergola. And so I grab columns and then proceed to add the spandrels. And then from there, I create walls inside this pergola and create my own little cube design, whatever you want to call it. Don't worry about the tile placement. I fixed this and we go back into the tier 2. But I add the spandrels and you'll see some of them have a low drop down. Some of them are a little higher. This one does have a lower drop down, but your sim doesn't get caught. And this is me fixing the issue. You build a wall and then move it and it doesn't mess up your tile count. But your sim doesn't get caught up underneath the spandrels as much as I've played and test played it, because I've done this before and I always play test my builds before they go on the gallery. Your sim is perfectly fine, won't get caught underneath. And to get the pergola to go down so you can see in the bathroom, you just tab the walls down and the pergola will go away so you can see into your bathroom. And it's just a fun little moment. I love the new columns and spandrels. We've got 2 sets. The only issue is it created this grid on the ground. Do you see that grid? I could not get it to go away. So I do end up putting a tile down, changing it later to match the terrain paint that I put down. So we'll get to that point. But just know if you delete the tile, there's a weird grid underneath that I've never had happen to me before. It might be a bug or some, I don't know, but it happened and we moved with it. We roll with the punches here, especially when we're being weird and creating our own pergolas. I decided to go ahead and put a little curtain right there over your little bathroom door. I alt place it so it's kind of inside the archway. And things change, right? So we're going to come in and I'm going to lighten it up over there. I'm going to obviously decorate inside the bathroom and just make it super fun, super cute, a little weird. But I also play tested it and the sim didn't seem to feel any type of way about being outside and showering. They are kind of sequestered away. There was another person on the lot and it seemed fine. He didn't get embarrassed or anything. You're up in a tree, so thoughts are that you'd be fine. It is easy to fix if you don't want it to be like that. Just put 4 walls up and add a real roof. But then you're going to lose out on being inside that tier 2 tiny home. I played around with the idea of this kitchen being really out in the open, but I didn't want any of your appliances breaking out in the rain. So I decided to go ahead and build a room, get a roof on there. I delete the room and just bring back my fencing. I thought about just kind of making it match your build with the roof and the trim. I wasn't feeling it though. What I end up doing is turning it into a glass roof and using the glass wall paint to paint the roof wallpaper area. And I come in with the cottage living stone fence and I just think it's so pretty. It kind of elevates it. It feels a little like elvish, if you will. I've been reading The Hobbit, so just that's where I'm living in this, okay? It feels a little elvish. And I'm here for it. And then because it's more of a room, it creates this really nice little U-shaped kitchen. And I love how the sink fits in with the counters. It's kind of a cool little point. That's nice. I like that. Now this was weird. Weird is the topic today. This may seem a little weird, but your dining room table is in between your kitchen and your bathroom. But it's a 1 or 2 person house, okay? And potentially if there's 2 people living here, there's 1 bed and it's a double bed and they're sleeping in the same bed. So I think they'll be fine to be showering on one side and eating lunch on the other. Maybe. Okay, this terrain paint has a matching tile that I forgot about, so I end up using the matching tile to fix the bathroom area. And I was really brave to use terrain paint before actually having the build finished. There is that glitch, and I don't know that it ever got fixed, where sometimes your terrain paint will disappear. I decided to come up here and tweak the colors a little bit. I whistled when I said that. Kind of tweak the colors a little bit, add more of this red with the yellow. I think it's very pretty and it feels very fall. And I like how it all kind of intermixes together. We're darkening the wood up a little bit, which I think is the key point because I liked how dark the wood was downstairs. So I kind of brought it upstairs a little bit. Then these cute little mushroom shelves we of course had to use. And I just decided that a bookcase would be perfect on one, the little books that came in the pack. That way your sim can sit up here and sit in their chair and read. And then I add the apple and the pear pictures. When do you ever take time to use those? Maybe you do. If you, foot and mouth maybe, if you use base game a lot, you probably use them a little more than I think that I would use them. But it's so fun and it's nature. So apple and pear picture in your bedroom. I was liking the way the fence looked with the flowers. However, I was kind of changing everything to the darker wood tone, which brought out red flowers. So I got rid of it and used just the plain shrubbery fence. And I think that that works perfect. Now, I will say that the fairy house that I use in this build is the one that you get for early pack purchase. Easy to put what you need in it, right? Like if you don't purchase this and get that, it's an easy enough swap to get the fairy house that comes with the pack. I just like that it was a log, so to speak, like a stump in the ground, this little tiny fairy door. I decided to kind of alt place and put up against the wall, kind of like a tiny fairy door that you would go inside. Have you seen those videos or have you done it yourself where you see people like take and put a little door and some rocks and make a little fairy garden at the stump of a tree, at the root, at the base of a tree? I think it's so cute. I want to do it, but we also have a lot of neighborhood cats, and I just don't want to put anything that would get messed up or anything that would hurt them. Not that it would, I just don't know. So, I haven't done that yet. I decided in this little area, it would be fun to have a little pond right here, kind of against your walkway. It's cute. I really liked it. So we are going to zoom past this because terrain can be real fun to deal with. And so I go back and forth, smoothing it out, changing the shape a little bit, and try to make it where it doesn't look so blocky and squared off. And once we're done with that, we're going to come in and we're going to edge it with rocks. So these first 3 rocks came in the event. They're really cute and they match. If you change the swatch to this like taupey colored, it matches the stones that are in base game. And so I like to size them down, twist them around. Sometimes I keep them at their normal size, but I will also size them down and kind of twist them and turn them so they don't look too repetitive. But obviously I'm using 8 stones over and over again. So there might be a little bit repetitiveness to it, but I just think it's a fun little detail to add around your pond, especially because this isn't a pond you're swimming in. This is really just for the landscaping purposes. So we're just going to do that real quick. 3, 2, 1, done. Easy. And it's cute. It adds a little something. Obviously, I'm not done with landscaping by a long shot. We're going to add some landscaping around it. I am going back in with this terrain paint to kind of darken it up a little bit and recreate these lines for your pathway. I started going in with more terrain paint and, things aren't put where they're going to end up being. And so it's really funny because as soon as I put that terrain paint down, I start moving things. And so I will go in and erase that terrain paint and change it up, honestly. This is the fun part where I get to add a little more landscaping. And I feel like landscaping is never done. I could add and add and add. This is like a fantastical place, right? Your potential fairy sim lives here. They're in the apothecary career. So I just really wanted it to be so fun and so cute. I also use these shrubs that have lights in them from the winter event. And so that just adds a little something extra. I really just try to layer the landscaping, get a base down and go from there. So I'm using a lot of low-lying pale yellow flowers to kind of edge everything out, using the long lit up shrub to edge out the back and around the sides. And then you kind of get to go in and bring more things in. I love this lily of the valley. It is a patch of grass. They have it in like a triangle, a curved piece, and a square. It's probably one of my favorite grasses, actually. And so I fill in my landscaping with that just to kind of make it look a little more lush and add a good base to the rest of the landscaping. Then we can go in with more low-lying yellow pale yellow low-lying flowers, kind of just everywhere. I saw that the debug in this pack has the low-lying pale yellow flowers, but without flowers. It's just grass. And that's pretty cool and iconic. I wish it was in the pack to be used. I didn't go into debug for this build, but it's something to like put in your book and know that it's there. I love the gnomes. I think they're so cute. I have a gnome that I need to paint, and this pack has kind of made me want to paint him even more than I already did, but it's just coming together so well. It is worth noting that that giant acorn in the front is a toy box. But how cute is it? I could cry. It's so adorable. They have a smaller one that's a light, but he's just so cute. He had to make an appearance in this build. I decided to kind of pave a little more and bring it underneath the swing set just to kind of add it to the build so it didn't look like a weird offset piece. It looks like it's supposed to be at this house. And then we're going in and we're just adding little bushes everywhere. Once again, layering things in. So you've got these shorter pieces, bigger pieces, and creating this like ebb and flow, if you will, of landscaping. Just to add a little bit of height in there. If there ever was a build to do that, it's this one. We are just taking a moment, a little detour to add some clutter on your kitchen counters. Easy stuff, not a lot, just little things, right? This sink doesn't allow for your hand soap or your toothbrushes to go up there on the ledge. So I was trying to figure out what shelving would look like so that way you could have that clutter, adding this little gnome, and you can get some towels put on him. That way you've got some towels when you get out of the bathtub. We do need lights in here, but I didn't want you to like have weird random hanging lights in between the lake pergola. I do add these cottage living lights. I end up getting rid of them because the lighting ends up being so weird at nighttime in this little corner. I think because it's not a real room, it's a fake room. It looks fine in the daylight. At night, it looks a little weird, and we just bypass that. It's such a pain to alt place string lights to raise them up and try and make them match. You think you're doing it, and then you look from the top and boom, they are not together at all. It just felt like there was no good way to add these string lights, which I so desperately wanted. So what I decide to do is build a wall. It should have been my first thought, right? But it wasn't. So I built a wall, and then I went ahead and alt placed them and moved them up with 9. So that way they look more like they're hanging at the edge of the roof. And so we're going to go ahead and do that on the other 2 walls. And I leave the front open. I don't put any starlights hanging from the front. I'm good with that. It's so cutesy. It adds a little something extra. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and decide to find that tile and match it to the terrain paint. So then I'm going in and darkening up the terrain paint a little bit. And you can kind of see it just matches so much better, looks so much better. The lighting on this lot is a little weird. Is it just me? Because I was in fall in my game, so maybe it's just me. I put the little plush bunny out there, the little freezer plush freezer fairy bunny. Why would you not have a fairy freezer bunny in your yard? As I'm going around, I decide that we need more lush around the back. So while we have the fun little bush, I decide to go ahead and take some more pale yellow low-lying pale yellow flowers, and add them around the back, the sides, and the trees to kind of bring more of this lush feel. And then we're going to continue on with those and add them around the pond, bringing the landscaping around, making it feel like nothing is missing. This place is lush and overflowing with greenery, perfect for a sim who loves nature. And then, of course, adding some sunflowers. They're so cute just to add random, creating that height difference again with all the plants. We go ahead and add a rug to our kitchen outside. I end up using this cottage living one. It's got these pretty red and white roses on it. So gorgeous. Also, don't mind me. I'm like indecisive over here. I wasn't feeling this little dining room area. It just felt like it needed something more. It needed to be different. I end up putting that rug from high school years back down. And once again, we're back in the bathroom. I'm still not sure at this point, like how it's going to play out for the dining room. It feels like a little bit of a lost cause. I do figure out what I want to do in the end, but I just wanted it to feel a little more like cohesive. I decided to go ahead and bring over the same columns from the kitchen, just so once again, we're adding that cohesion. I change up the color of the pergola to match the kitchen a little more. And I was really liking it at this point. If this was like a normal pergola outside, I would have added greenery to the top of it. However, when you alt place things, they have a tendency to not always disappear when you put your walls down. And I needed it to disappear when the walls were down. I needed you to be able to see in the pergola so that way you could bathe your Sims. So no greenery on top. Instead, you just have the really ornate spandrels creating the pergola. How many times can I say pergola? There's that cute little acorn. I decided the overhead lights were making it too bright in here, that we would add simpler lights. So we come in with the little stool that has the lantern on it and adding a candelabra. It felt nice. It felt good. I was happy with it. Then I decided to get rid of the fence around the backside because it kind of makes sense that you would sit at your table and want to kind of see the view. I liked that thought. It felt really right to get rid of that fence and just kind of make a little opening. At this point, we are pretty much done with this house. Little details here and there. Of course, I come in and play test it, so things may be a little different in the end. That's your disclaimer. But I think it's time we jump into the screenshots. It's worth noting that we do paint the roofs with the cottage living flooring. But I really loved this build. I think it's so cute. It's so pretty. It feels magical to have this mushroom up in the sky, leveling up in your career. People need a cure. Oh, let's go to Cranamore, the giant tree, and go get a cure from the Apothecary sim. I loved it, and I had so much fun doing this. Creating a mushroom was really fun. Out of the box a little bit, I have created a hobbit home, or I've created a fairy cottage. I've even created a giant tree. So this was a lot of fun to do, creating a mushroom. I hope you like this build. If you do, it's on the gallery. My EA ID is katxthrash, just like the name here on YouTube. This build is play tested on the gallery, ready for your sim to get in here. If they don't want to be in the apothecary career, they can easily just live here and live their best life up in a tree inside of a mushroom. Iconic. Iconic. I loved it so much. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely keep coming back for more. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you have a wonderful night wherever you are. Bye, y'all.